So let me begin by saying I did absolutely zero preparation for this video. And maybe that is the reason why I only have 3 subscribers to my channel. And yet nobody seems to like it. And I really don't give a crap because it's like me talking to myself at 2:43 a.m. And so tonight's episode is, why do therapists suck? Well, why do they suck? Now, you may have had very good experience or experiences with therapy, but I pretty much have given up on it. And why? Let's find out why. Okay, so let me give you a scenario. I have had panic attacks since the age of 5. And unbeknownst to me, they were, panic attacks until I was about the age of, I'm going to say probably about 96. I was diagnosed, and I had no idea for close to most of my whole entire childhood up into my young adulthood that what I was suffering from was panic attacks and severe anxiety. So pretty much I walked around from about the age of 5 to about the age of 19 or 20 thinking I was batshit crazy and I was an alien and didn't belong on this earth. And I had pretty much no reason to be hanging out with other people because I was different and weird. And pretty much I hated that because I had no idea what the hell was happening to me. So when I was a kid and I'd have a panic attack, I suffered in silence. And the one time I had a panic attack in front of another person, I got slapped across the face. Yes, slapped across the face. I was about 8 and my aunt was babysitting me, and I had a full blown, like 10 on the Richter scale out of 10 panic attack. And when I had those type of attacks as a child, my adrenaline would go through the roof and I would start running. I don't know why, but I felt like running, and I'd start running. And so I had the panic attack and I was running through the house, and the house was very small, and it had a glass cocktail table with wrought iron going around it, and in the center was glass. And what did I do? This jackass jumped like it was a trampoline. I jumped onto the center of the glass part of the cocktail table. I guess they called them cocktail tables back then. And my aunt said, "What the fuck is wrong with you? You brat," and smacked me across my face. And after that, I always made sure if I was having a panic attack, I would either hide somewhere. And I would hide, if I was at home, in my room with the door shut. If I was out somewhere, I would suddenly become very, very quiet and withdrawn. And people would say, "Oh, snap out of it. Are you there?" And I would not tell them what was happening. So yeah, pretty much it was a bit of a very, very, very painful childhood dealing with this. So my first diagnosis came in 96 during a time when I was going through really, really a major like identity crisis. I was just about the age where I was becoming a young adult, and then suddenly the panic attacks, like, they would wane over the years. So I would have them along with some agoraphobia, but functioning agoraphobia, where I had no choice. I had to go to school. I had to go to people's houses with my mother, and I couldn't explain why I didn't want to go. She would just say, "Come on, you have to get in the car," and I did it anyway. But so they would get better for like small periods of time and then come back, and then the process was repeated over and over and over and over until when I was about 19 or 20. I thought if I left my mother's house, and my mother, God rest her soul, she's no longer with me, she died. I thought if I left, my panic attacks would go away. Well, I didn't know what they were. And so I started looking through the local, free newspaper for apartments. So I found an apartment that I could afford on minimum wage, which you can't even do nowadays. A basement apartment, pretty much a bed, enough spot or room for a bed, a little nightstand. It had a little kitchenette and 1 bathroom, and it was in the basement. Okay. And that was $550 a month, and believe it or not, I could afford it. But I had to work my ass off. So I had to work 60 hours a week, minimum wage, which I didn't even want to leave the house to do because the panic attacks were so bad. But I had to do it to survive. Otherwise, I would have been homeless. And so I left my mother's house, and the panic attacks, or whatever these things were, did not go away. and it was getting worse. And so one night, in a fit of a panic attack, probably about 2 a.m. I didn't know what to do. I thought I was going to die, and I didn't have a phone. That was the thing. Back then, we didn't have cell phones, and phones. If you had a phone, it was very expensive. You were charged by the call and by the minute. So if you picked up the phone and you bullshitted with your friend for like an hour, you were going to get like a $20 bill or a $25 bill at the end of the month for that one phone call. So I couldn't afford to have a phone in my little basement apartment. So if I had to call an ambulance, I was fucked. Excuse my language. And so I felt like I was dying. And so back then we had something called the Yellow Pages. And you're like, what's that? Most of you young people. It was a book that actually had like, you actually could sit on it if you needed to, if you were a kid and needed to be boosted up higher in your seat. That's how thick these books were. They probably had 10,000 pages in it of local businesses and advertisements. And in the front, it said, in case of an emergency, call 911. In case of a fire, call 911. And then they had something called Crisis Hotline. And it said, if you are having an emotional crisis, call this number. And I did. So I called that number, and in the middle of the night, I was very embarrassed, by the way. I went to a payphone to do this, by the way. Yes, a payphone where it was 25 cents a minute. I had a pocket filled with coins. And and thank God I did. And so the lady told me, you have panic attacks. And I said, panic attacks? What is that? She said, you're having one right now. And then she explained what was happening to me. And finally, eureka, we had a name for the thing I was suffering for with my whole entire life. So she gave me the phone number. She asked me where I lived. She gave me the phone number for a local therapist and a local psychiatric, what do you call those people again? Psychiatrist. Yes, my mind is going places right now and I can't focus. So yeah, the next day I said to my dad, I need to go to a psychiatrist and I need to go to a therapist. And I was actually very frightened because I thought only people that went to therapists and went to psychiatrists were nuts. And I didn't want to be considered a nut. And he was very concerned, but he took me. My first therapist, I'll never forget, was the best therapist I ever had. She explained to me every single bodily sensation I was going through, how my mind was distorting my thinking, how the thoughts that I had were being escalated, turning into a full-blown panic attack, how to stop them from happening. So it was called CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy. She also told me to grow a pair of balls because I didn't know how to stand up for myself, because pretty much I was a person that got walked on or walked over, if you know what I mean. I did not want to confront people. I did not want to get into fights with people, and I did not want to argue with people. So pretty much I was a people pleaser. I just couldn't bear the thought of somebody not liking me. And she taught me to grow a pair of balls and stand up for myself. And then she was the greatest therapist I ever had in my life. Now the other professional I saw was a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist gave me Xanax and Prozac. And I said, wait, Prozac is for crazy people. And she said, no, they're for people who are just having depression and anxiety. That doesn't mean you're crazy. So I willingly took both meds. I'll have to admit, though, the Xanax was the greatest. Now, I never got a high from the Xanax. It just made me feel normal. And it gave me power, because whenever I was having a panic attack, if I did leave my little apartment, I felt like I had a lifeline in my pocket. So I could just throw one down the hatch and the panic attack would go away. So finally, I had power in my life. Now, this great therapist that I had, and wonderful therapist, I suddenly had to stop seeing because my health benefits expired and I could no longer afford them. So, pretty much I could not afford paying out of pocket, which at the time was over $150. And we're talking 20 something years ago. That's how much she charged. And so I could no longer see her anymore. And then my condition deteriorated and got worse. Also, I could no longer afford the medication because I lost insurance. And the insurance, of course, wasn't covering the psychiatric care because I no longer had benefits. So yeah, I was immediately off meds and away from a therapist, and my condition got worse. The agoraphobia came back, and boom, we had to start from scratch again. So I had to find what was called a low-cost therapist, a community therapist. They had community programs where you would pay very low fees. So for $25, somebody would agree to talk to you, and they sucked. Absolutely, this lady sucked. She was just listening to me for 30 minutes, ramble on, and had no solutions for me. So basically, I needed to be reintroduced to CBT again, or cognitive behavioral thinking. But this particular therapist for $25 wasn't going to be bothered with that, if you know what I mean. So over the years, what I noticed is that when I did have health insurance, and I do have it now, it would only pay $35 a session to any therapist. Most therapists charge between $180 to $275 a session. Well, anyone who's worth their weight in gold in this industry. So anybody who has experience dealing with people like this will not take $35 from a measly shitty payment from an insurance company. So why do therapists suck? Well, unfortunately, you get what you pay for. So my current therapist, before that therapist, my insurance was covering somebody for $35 an hour. And after 3 sessions, he dropped me. He told me if I didn't get off the Xanax, he was going to no longer have any kind of sessions with me because Xanax doesn't solve things. His quote, now I was on it for 26 years. You can't just go off Xanax willy-nilly, if you know what I mean. So yeah, he basically told me he would not treat me because he doesn't treat people who take substances. Because if you take a substance, you're pushing your feelings down and avoiding them by taking a substance. And so he dumped me after 3 sessions, and that really, really fucked me up mentally. I never had a therapist drop me. I mean, I dropped them, but he dropped me, and that took a psychological course on me, if you know what I mean. It really took its toll. So I found another therapist after, by the way, waiting 8 months to find a new one, because every single person I called on my provider list for the health insurance I have either said they were filled up with patients, or they didn't answer when I called because their number was out of service. And so I waited 8 months before I could actually find somebody who would take me on. And it turned out it was another one of those low-cost clinics who would do phone sessions with me, who would be willing to take $35 a session. So now I sit here every single Thursday at 1 p.m. on the phone with somebody who really don't give a flying fuck about me. And they say, as I talk for 45 minutes. And I hear, oh, I see. Well, that's terrible. Oh, that must be difficult for you. So for 40 minutes, that's all I hear. I get no solutions, no way to combat these feelings I have, the feelings of fear and gloom and doom and anxiety. And by the way, here's what I was told to do. I was told to meditate. Yes, meditate. So when you're having a full-blown panic attack that is a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe even on an 11, you're supposed to meditate, take deep breaths, and think happy thoughts. No, that is not going to happen for me. Some people it helps. God bless you. Also, I was told when I'm having a panic attack to fill a bowl with water and ice cubes and plunge my face into ice water, hold my breath for 10 seconds, and the panic attack should go away. Why the fuck should I have to plunge my face into a cold bowl filled with ice water to get over a panic attack? I don't think that is actually very therapeutic at all. So pretty much I feel like I'm at a impasse in life. Like nobody really gives a shit unless you have money. So if you have the big bucks to pay $275 a session, you will get help. You will get the proper help. You will have someone actually give a shit because they're getting paid enough money to give a shit. But when you're paying someone $35 for 40 minutes of their time, they're not going to really give a shit about you. Pretty much you're just another number. And so, why do therapists suck? Well, let's check it out. I Googled it. Am I the only one that feels this way? Here we go. Why are therapists so unhelpful? What are some of the warning signs of a bad therapist? Okay, I'm not the only one. Here's Reddit. Is it me or do most therapists suck? Does your therapist suck? 5 signs it's time to dump them. Why therapy often sucks. When your therapist sucks. What to do when therapy sucks. Many psychologists suck. The dark side of therapy. 50 warning signs of questionable therapy and counseling. When therapy sucks, part 2. What it means if you're dreading your therapy sessions. Oh, wait, there's more. When your therapist sucks. Here we go. The sad girl's guide to finding a therapist that doesn't suck. Okay, so I guess I'm not the only one. I want you to write your comments in the commentary. Don't mind me. I have anxiety doing this, so my words are going to sound like really convoluted. I want you to write in the comments below. Have you found that therapy sucks? If so, why? What don't you like about your therapist, methods, or your therapy in general? What do you think? I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. And I want to hear stories of how these people ended up making you worse. Because I notice when I get off the phone with my therapist, I feel even more hopeless and pretty much like I'm not going to be getting better anytime soon. Yeah. All right. I'm waiting for your comments. Thanks for watching.